I get the same sense for a movie like Parasite, which I am definitely going to prioritize seeing this week. Was really bummed I wasn't able to make it out to see it this weekend. Gaining a lot of buzz. Almost everybody I've seen on Twitter talking about it, or that I know has seen it, said that this is the best movie of the year. And the trailer, in and of itself, seems like it's set up as a real like psychological mind fuck. So I'm really pumped to check it out. Another Korean movie gaining a lot of buzz, at the start of awards season. Obviously, was it Burning last year?
Oh yes,
that got a lot of buzz, and I haven't checked that one out on Netflix either. But Dave, Parasite, is all the critical acclaim earned?
So this is a no spoilers review of Parasite.
We will be talking it once I see it.
Parasite was everything I promised it to be, but I'm not going to spoil it. But Parasite is my number one movie of the year. Burning was my number one movie of 2018. Shout out Korea. Past 2 years, killing it. Lee Jae-dong did Burning. Bong Joon-ho, of course, is the director of Parasite. We know him recently from Okja and Snowpiercer and The Host and a few other movies. And kind of the face of the Korean new wave that started at the turn of the century. And Parasite, I mean, you've talked about this critical acclaim, but it honestly can't be overstated how this movie has been doing to this point. It unanimously won the Palme d'Or at Cannes earlier this year. First time that's happened since 2013. Bong, of course, also won Best Director at Cannes. And then it thrills a Telluride and New York Film Festival and TIFF as well. Everyone's loving it, right? Meanwhile, it's been showing overseas at this point. This movie has already grossed almost $90 million before it started here in the US. I believe 70 million plus of that was in South Korea. So the hype is real. 99% Rotten Tomatoes from 195 reviews. That's only one negative review coming from the National Review. Make it that what you will. And last week,
I'm pretty sure it's the same guy that fucked up Lady Bird's 99 rating and everything like that.
And again, I don't actually care about the perfect rating shit, but just
it's annoying.
Yeah. The first week it was out. It was only in 3 theaters, right? 2 in LA, 1 in New York City, and it made $376,000. That $125 per theater average was the highest of the year, of course, the highest ever for an international film here, and the highest since La La Land, and I believe the 18th highest PTA ever. So from that point to last week, when I got to see it, it was on 33 screens, and it was the 11th highest grossing movie of the weekend, 1.1 million. So this movie has a chance to perhaps get into the top 10 highest grossing international films, depending on how this expands, which is pretty wild. It's I think it's a lock for Best International Film nomination, of course. I think our eyes are now set on this getting a Best Picture nomination and Bong getting a Best Director nomination. Roma kind of opened that up in terms of that seeming more realistic than it has recently. That being said, only 11 foreign films have been nominated for Best Picture, so it's still not a easy road.
Lock, yeah.
That being said, why do people like this movie so much? And again, I'm not going to spoil what happens or anything about it, but Bong, we know Bong. I mean, you've seen Snowpiercer and Okja, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I actually haven't seen the other ones. I want to see The Host really bad. That's kind of a monster movie. But the thing that's cool about Bong is all his movies seem to really revolve around class and social structures, right? Sometimes it's very obvious. A dystopian train navigating the globe, right? And The Host, from what I understand, is about corporate malpractice leading to a literal monster getting born out of a lake or something and terrorizing a town. And Okja is probably the most widely seen of all these movies because it was a Netflix film. People know that. Super Pigs and factory farming. Yeah, but all comes back to class. And the thing about Parasite, which is really cool, is that it's set in Seoul, set in Korea. It's obviously in Korean cast. What do you expect? But the wealth gap in South Korea is very much a real thing these days. And this movie is really obviously tackling that. But if you watch the trailer, you understand the logline of the movie. It's about a very poor family of four that basically infiltrates this into the services of a very rich family in Korea. The Kim family is infiltrating the Park family. And by infiltrate, I mean like they start working for this family by like kind of finessing the plug and just kind of getting in there and getting into this really nice house and working for this really wealthy family that's a little aloof and unaware of what's going on. And Bong, of course, is really adept at weaving in the class observations and the countless metaphors onto all of his movies. And in this case, Parasite is fucking hilarious. And these are jokes that land even when you're reading them as subtitles. So it's funny. Kind of a lot of black humor, to be honest. Super, super thrilling. There's a whole other layer to Parasite that you're completely unaware of until you start watching the movie. I'm not going to give any hints about what that is. But once that happens, your awareness of what Bong's metaphors mean takes on a completely new meaning in your head. And it's done in such a masterful way that I want to see the movie again now that I clearly know where it's going. It's so great. And of course, Bong, just as a pure director, now not just a writer, like he writes all his movies too, and all this concept goes credit to him. But as a director, he makes the movie so it's staged in such a thrilling way that as this movie crests, it's just impossible to look away. And I mean, his shots, you can think of shots in Oak Tree, you can think of shots in Snowpiercer. In this case, there's a scene, extended sequence in the rain in the middle of the movie that is all these different angles. And I'm like, these are just like master shots constantly. And the fact that you got these shots with actual rain falling kind of like blows my mind. It looks awesome. And, you know, there's a really good Vulture profile about Bong. And I was kind of I read that 2 weeks ago, learning more about his upbringing in Korea as Korea was getting much more liberal and much more democratic in like the 80s. And hearing how that's kind of shaped his worldview combined with his filmmaking process. He storyboards literally everything, which, you know, that's not uncommon. A lot of people storyboard. Robert Eggers at the Q&A actually told everyone how he wasn't a huge fan of storyboarding. What's funny though, because Bong storyboards so intricately that I think Tilda Swinton commented that it's almost like comic books, almost like reading manga. His storyboards are that detailed.
Wow.
And then he actually works with that where he doesn't shoot coverage, meaning the only stuff that he shoots with his cameras is the actual scenes he's making for the movie. There's no other cameras catching other angles just to make sure you have enough film to piece the movie together. He's so precise with his storyboards that he only shoots what he needs, which is pretty much unheard of. And like, and obviously for a blockbuster, you can never do that. It's just not realistic. But Bong is he's such a fine tune on what he's trying to do with his movies that he's able to do that, which is fantastic to learn about. And, you know, I mean, we've talked a little bit about Korean movies. Like you said you haven't seen Burning, but I mean, Park Chan-wook, we talked about his work on Little Drummer Girl last year. He, of course, is famous for Old Boy and The Handmaiden. I think him and Bong and Lee Chang-dong, who did Burning, are the most famous Korean filmmakers, at least to us here in the States. But in the meantime, it's Bong season, man. And Neon is distributing this movie. They have not done a Oscar push before. And the biggest push they did to date really was I, Tonya, which did not get a Best Picture nomination, got some love for the acting nominations, and of course Allison Janney won. But now it's up to Neon to get this movie that everybody loves and is a financial hit to the Oscars. Because as soon as you see this movie, you're getting on that train. Yeah. So cannot say enough good things about Parasite, and it's once you can have a spoiler-filled conversation about it, I think it's even more fun to talk about. So, and see this fucking movie.
That will hopefully be next week that we can deliver that. I can't wait. The hype can't be higher for me.